Dan untuk meningkatkan layanan dan manajemen, pengelola perpustakaan juga melakukan studi banding dan mengikuti pelatihan di beberapa perpustakaan lain, baik di dalam negeri maupun luar negeri. Komunikasi dengan pemustaka adalah hal utama guna mendapatkan solusi terhadap problematika yang dihadapi pemustaka. Dan saat ini, komunikasi perpustakaan dan pemustaka dapat dilakukan melalui website dan sosial media yang secara aktif dikelola dengan profesional.
About this library, I would say this library is one of the best libraries I have seen in different countries, and I feel very calm, very confident, very safe in this library, and the services of this library are very good. The collection of the books are very good. When you enter, the staff will help you with everything you need. You can use digital library, by internet. You can use it, and the internet is very fast.
Pada saat pertama kami akan diberikan user education, yaitu pengalaman atau pengajaran bahwa bagaimana cara menggunakan perpustakaan yang baik. Pada saat ingin mencari sesuatu yang kami tidak temukan, misalnya referensi yang berbasis bahasa Inggris misalnya atau bahasa Arab misalnya, maka dengan senang hati para staf kemudian melayani kami.
Jika Anda ingin mengubah dunia, maka sering-seringlah mengunjungi perpustakaan UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. UIN untuk bangsa, UIN mendunia.
Perpustakaan UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. Solusi riset kita semua.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dunia yang kita tempati bersama ini sedang dilanda wabah. Corona ada di mana-mana. Ibu Pertiwi sedang bersedih. Saatnya kita saling menguatkan satu sama lain. Kartini UIN Sunan Kalijaga Yogyakarta mempersembahkan lagu ini untuk menghibur kita semua. Stay healthy and stay safe.
Sedang bersusah Darti lagi baca berita.
Oh, aku mau nyari jurnal nih, tapi aku nggak tahu caranya gimana. Kamu bisa bantu aku nggak nyari jurnal?
Oh, boleh. Jadi caranya Mbak ketik di sini nih alamatnya lib.uin-suka.ac.id. Habis itu di enter. Nah, ini ketemu kan menu-menu di sini. Terus Mbak pilih database e-book dan jurnal.
Anit, ini bisa nggak sih kalau kita akses dari luar perpustakaan?
Bisa kok. Oh, bisa. Di situ kan kita klik ya. Terus nanti muncul ya. Jadi Mbak Darti, UIN Sunan Kalijaga ini berlangganan beberapa jurnal, antara lain ada Taylor and Francis, kemudian Emerald, School, Cambridge, sama The Store.
Oh gitu. Terus kalau misalnya aku mau nyari jurnal recycling embryos gimana?
Oh ada, aku tahu tuh di ini nih. Kita klik aja yang Oxford ini Mbak, terus diklik nanti di kolom pencarian ini Mbak ketik deh judulnya. Nah ini udah ketemu kan? Download aja.
Oh gitu. Udah ya caranya?
Udah banget. Nah, Mbak, kalau misalnya ada yang bingung, Mbak bisa menghubungi petugas referensi di bagian sana. Iya.
Ya udah deh, makasih banyak ya Adija.
Sama-sama, Mbak. Oke, dah. Dah.
Biasa juga Indonesia. Maka perhatikan nanti anak-anak yang tipe kinestetik kalau yang mengajar dia suka.
Hey, feeling good like I should. When in the walk around the neighborhood, feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Yeah, hey, every day can be a better day despite the challenge. All you gotta do is leave it better than you found it. It's gonna get difficult to stand, but hold your balance. I just say whatever, cause there is no way you're around it. Everyone falls down sometime, but you just gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, feeling good like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed, never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday best. Some days you wake up and nothing works, you feel surrounded. Gotta give your feet some gravity to get you grounded. Keep good things inside your ears just like the waves and sound it. And just say whatever, cause there is no way you're
wes kangen kerja koyo kangen mantan.
But you just gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. The love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, take it down. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. The love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. The love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, hey, hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
Di ujung sana tangga anak-anak kotor-kotor papa nih. Karena tuh gelap tuh asal-asal sama kincing. Karena gelap tak kok mungkin tapes ya.
Kalau begitu caranya kunci itu WC satu saja.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Greeting from Yogtakarta, Indonesia, and welcome to Islamic University of Sunan Kalijaga Library Zoom meeting. I am Anik Nur Aziza, librarian of UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library, and it is great honor for me to be a master of ceremony. Today, we proudly present the International Talk, Visiting International Librarian 2021, organized by UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library, SLA Asia, and Association of Islamic University Library. This international talk is provide a platform for exchange of knowledge and skill relevant to information professional in Asia and worldwide with a global perspective. The program will invite 12 well-known librarians from all over the world, and they will share about their experience, best practice about what they do, so it will give inspiration to the other librarians. Ladies and gentlemen,
Over the next few hours, this meeting will provide you the opportunities to discuss, share knowledge, and insight about library management. Before we proceed this program today, we would like to express our gratitude to the Honorable Director of SLA, Dr. PK Jain, the Honorable President-elect of SLA Asia, Dr. Parveen Babbar, the Honorable Head of UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library and also the President of APPTIS, Mrs. Labibah Zain, MLIS, the Honorable Speaker, Catherine Lavallee-Welch, MLIS, the Honorable Moderator, Dr. Imas Maesaroh, DIP, IM-Lib, MLIB, PhD, and the Honorable our sponsor, EBSCO and I Group, and distinguished participants. Before going to the agenda today, let's listen to the national anthem of Indonesia and UIN Sunan Kalijaga hymn. Please make the video on. you very much. It is now my deep pleasure to invite the head of UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library and President of APPTIS. We are pleased, Mrs. Labibah Zain, to deliver the opening remarks.
Thank you, Ani. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the Rector of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Professor Dr. Phil Al-Makin, Director Board of SLA, Special Library Association, Dr. PK Jain, and President-elect of SLA Asia, Dr. Parveen Babbar, and also here, President-elect of Special Library Association, Catherine, who also will be a speaker for this session. Our sponsor, iGroup, EBSCO, Taylor and Francis, for supporting us in organizing international talk, visiting Librarian Session 3. In the session, we have here Ms. Catherine Lavallee-Welch, President-elect of Special Library Association. She is from Bishop University, Quebec, Canada. I used to live in Montreal, Canada, and graduated from McGill University. I still remember the beautiful memory of winter, the taste of poutine, and of course, the good service of libraries there. In this opportunity, Ms. Catherine will talk about library management. In the simple way, we can say that management is getting everything done through people. We probably read the same theories on management, but in the implementation level, we may have different results. That's why we need to know what other people do on management, or we call it best practice, so we can learn from others. Ms. Catherine has 20 years working in academic libraries and has headed 3 different universities library. So it is good opportunity for us to learn from her directly, especially in the current situation in which all of us have to manage sudden change relating to pandemic issues. The ability to manage the change becomes very crucial to give library service, but in the same time, we have to keep our users stay safe and healthy. We also want to hear the library situation in Canada, including concept, new trend, and best practices. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation, Catherine. And for the participants from Indonesia, India, US, Korea, and other countries, both on Zoom or YouTube channel, thank you so much for joining this program. You can ask the question by writing the question on chat box, and Dr. Imas, as moderator, will read it for you. Thank you so much, Dr. Imas from APPTIS, for being available to chair this session. My appreciation also goes to UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library team and APPTIS board for the solid teamwork. Enjoy this session. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Mrs. Labibah Zain, for your speech. And secondly, I invite the director of SLA, Dr. PK Jain. We are pleased to have Dr. PK Jain to deliver the opening remarks. Please, the time is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Imas. Good morning to all of you, and thanks to the organizers and UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library, Yogtakarta, Indonesia, to invite me. I welcome you all to the 3rd International Talk, Visiting Librarians, organized by UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library, Yogtakarta, Indonesia, SLA Asia, and APPTIS. It is our pleasure to have with us a great speaker of SLA, Ms. Catherine Lavallee-Welch from Canada, to deliver talk today. She is the President-elect of Special Libraries Association USA, and we are really thankful to her that she agreed to connect us at very odd hours, as it is 9 p.m. in Canada. Catherine is the University Librarian at Library Learning Commons in Canada, and she will be delivering the talk on library management, which is a sub-discipline of institutional management that focus on specific issues faced by libraries and library management professionals in the present time. Library management encompasses normal managerial tasks as well as intellectual freedom and fundraising responsibilities. The basic function of library management includes, but are not limited to, planning and negotiating the acquisition of material and resources, resource management, stock maintenance, overseeing fees collection, event planning, fundraising, and human resources, etc. So we are anxious to hear the views of Ms. Catherine. I would like to congratulate UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library Yogtakarta, Indonesia, SLA Asia, and APPTIS to organize this wonderful series of international talk. Special congratulations to Ms. Labibah Jain for taking this initiative and connecting the participants to the series from around the world. I would also thank the moderator, Dr. Imas, lecturer of UIN Sunan Ampel, Surabaya, who is moderating the session. And also thanks to Dr. Parveen Babbar, who will present vote of thanks at the end of the session. Now I request to the organizer to proceed for the session. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. PK Jain, for your speech. Okay, now we come to our main program, who will be led by our moderator, Mrs. Imas Maesaroh. But before it, I will remind for all the participants that want to get electronic certificate, please fill in the attendance form and take note that the registration key is 9, 8, 7, 2, 3. I want to repeat once again. For all the participants that want to get electronic certificate, please fill in the attendance form and take note the registration key is 9, 8, 7, 2, 3. Okay. And now please allow me to introduce our moderator, Dr. Imas Maesaroh, DIP, IM-Lib, MLIB PhD. She is a lecturer in Islamic State University of Sunan Ampel, Surabaya, Indonesia, and she got a doctoral degree from Curtin University, Australia. And she actively engaged in library development at Ministry of Religious Affairs. Currently, she is Director of Information and Database Center in UIN Sunan Ampel, Surabaya, Indonesia. Okay, now without further ado, I will turn it over the moderator, Mrs. Imas Maesaroh. For Mrs. Imas Maesaroh, please, the time is yours.
Thank you, Ibu Ani Nur Azizah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Imas Maesaroh. As Ibu Ani said, that I am from UIN Sunan Ampel, Surabaya, and I will be so glad to be a moderator for this international talks. First of all, I want to thank you to Ibu Labibah in involving me in this great event. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have known from the flyer, today's event is International Talks, visiting International Librarians Series 3 with the topic of academic library management. Library is a living creature that always adapts to the environment. For example, from print collection model to the graphic-based model. This shift is a challenge for libraries, for us. So, how to overcome this challenge? Ladies and gentlemen, we are so honored that today we have Ibu Catherine Lavallee-Welch, MLIS, as a speaker. Ibu Catherine.
Good morning, sir.
Ibu Catherine will give presentation with the title Academic Library Management. So before we proceed with the presentation, I want to introduce you to Ibu Catherine. So Ibu Catherine has been working in academic for 20 years, as Ibu Labibah mentioned before. And currently, Ibu Catherine is the university librarian at Bishop's University in Sherbrooke, Quebec, Canada. I was there in Montreal, and after that I was in the Helsinki. So I was visiting Canada for twice. It's very beautiful, and I love it in Canada. Okay, continue. Her work experiences as an information professional and librarian have led her to work in Europe, the United States, and in her home country of Canada in non-profit, co-op, and academic environments. And in the past 16 years, she has headed academic libraries in 3 different universities. A long time being a Special Library Association SLA member, and she currently in SLA being on the board of director as president-elect, as well as on the board of directors of the Corporation of Professional Librarians of Quebec. Okay, now, before we proceed for the presentation, I want to introduce our audience in this international talks. So Ibu Catherine, in this audience, we have librarians from school libraries, academic libraries, public libraries, and special libraries. So all of the libraries and librarians are here right now, not only from Indonesia, but also from other countries. And we have also lecturers who are joined in these international talks. They are in the library studies, and we have also students too. And all the audience are in the Zoom and in YouTube. And the audience will ask you with typing in the chat, not only in Zoom, but also in YouTube. So for the chat in YouTube, Ibu Asri Yuna will help me to collect the question, and I will read it for Ibu Catherine later on when we are in the question and answering. So for the audience, feel free to ask the question and type it, and I will read it. Ibu Catherine, for the presentation, I will give you 25 minutes. And dear ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ibu Catherine Lavallee-Welch.
Thank you very much, Dr. Imas. And what a wonderful series that you have here. It's wonderful that you have people from all over the world come and listen and come and speak. So which I wish to thank the UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library, SLA Asia, the APPTIS, and all of you, your distinguished hosts, for having me today. So I'm going to start with a land acknowledgement. And that is something that we do a lot in Canada before events, before meetings, to acknowledge that before colonizers arrived in Canada, there were already Indigenous people living here. So I work at Bishop's University, which is located in Sherbrooke in the province of Quebec in Canada, which is the traditional and unceded territory of the indigenous Abenaki people and the Wabanaki Confederacy. The Abenaki are composed of numerous smaller bands and tribes who share many cultural traits. They came together as a post-contact community after the original tribes were decimated by colonization, disease, and warfare. I acknowledge their continued active presence and stewardship of the land. Thank you. So now we'll share my screen. and we'll be able to start. All right, if I could get confirmation that you are seeing my screen correctly. Okay, I believe,
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes.
So I wanted to do, to start quickly, with a brief overview of Canadian academic libraries. We're from all over the world. That's always interesting. So higher education in Canada. Canada is composed of 10 provinces and 3 territories. And education is a provincial jurisdiction. So each province has its own higher education system. There's 97 universities. The majority of them are public. They're subsidized by the government. Tuition is typically much lower than in the US, for example, and they are secular. There are currently 1.3 million students enrolled in Canadian universities. Total population is 33 million in Canada, 35. It's a country that's has a high level of education. 30% of Canadians have at least one university degree. There's a lot of collaboration within provinces and the regions in academic libraries consortia, to share resources, but also services and software and tools, etc., etc. There's a lot of collaboration between those networks on consortia for far-ranging programs, like, for example, research data management tools. And something I wanted to mention is that that is something that we work a lot in academic libraries is activities related to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. That was a commission that was created in 2008 until 2015. And basically, this commission was to the purpose was to document the history and lasting impacts of the Canadian residential school system, where basically over a period of 100 of years, Indigenous children were taken from their families and sent to those residential schools for the purpose to remove them from the influence from their culture and assimilating them into the dominant Canadian culture. There was this report, this commission, there was 94 calls to action coming from that report. And in 2017, the Canadian Federation of Library Association published a report promoting initiatives to advance reconciliation and promote collaboration among libraries and also Indigenous peoples of Canada. So things about decolonization of space, of access to collections, the content of the collections themselves, the classification, Indigenous knowledge protection, outreach, and service. So that was a brief overview of Canadian academic libraries. Now let's talk about management. So what I want to talk today is the paradigm shift in libraries and how that changes management. So libraries are shifting from a print collection model towards more of a service-based or user-centered model. So we're not just the guardians of the books anymore, right? Now we're way more active and we're more user-centered. And that it's because also technology made it so that users, they can go and find information about anywhere and on their own. Doesn't mean it's as good as the one we can provide to them, but they can find something and without our help. So I think libraries for now, it's very important that we explore what is our place in the learning process, how to deal with the students and their information seeking behavior and how they learn, how faculty teach, how faculty research, how faculty communicator research nowadays, how is the university itself is transforming. So how do we become, as libraries and librarians, an integral and independent part of the university's total learning experience? The challenge, well, is how do we insert ourselves? How do we make our value known? What we can bring to the students, to the faculty, to the universities? What are the changes that we have to do on how we manage and what we manage? So it goes beyond, you know, the number of books that we have, how many questions we answer, but really, how did we create an environment that fosters learning, retention, graduation, and basically student success? So I have this graph that I love very, very much. It comes from a report done in 2010 for the Association of College and Research Libraries, ACRL, by Megan O'Cleaf. And she really explains very well in that report about this collection towards service shift paradigm. So we're more service-centered, more user-centered than before. We're more just in time instead of just in case. The physical space in our collections and instruction, information literacy, and access document delivery. And I think the graph shows well, you know, how we move, like we have the book and we give you the book and we stamp the book and here's the book and go away, to really a notion of the service that's around, how we help the users discover what they need, how to search for it, how to use it, how to make sense of it, how to evaluate it. We help them along, we give them that full experience. It's not just go in the stack, give me the book. And how we're not just saying, here we have X amount of books in our collection, but more, you know, measuring that education, the impact that we have. And lastly, the library is not just a building. I am very, very, very convinced that the library, it's just people. It's the people who work in it. If tomorrow my library, hope not, burns down to the ground, I still have a library because I still have the library staff, and they really make the library. So is that a little scary, moving from the traditional to the new paradigm? A little bit, yes. Paradigms are never easy. Change is always hard. It's more work to prove our impact that way. But we are the enablers, we are the pathfinders, we are the best at providing that very specific help, and we're the ones that add the value. So how do we change our management then? Well, we need to change, how do we measure that? We need to change the data that we collect. We need to gather it, and we need to start assessing, because we need to plan. I'm going to go briefly through a few ideas. Of course, there's a lot of literature on this. We have 25 minutes, so I'm just going to give you big trends. So spaces are changing a lot. There's, in Canada at least, there's a lot of library renovations and constructions. And we know that libraries is not for individual study anymore, right? We know there's need for all sorts of spaces. So we need to assess those needs, need to ask our users, we need to observe them. What do you want? What do you need? Where do you sit? What do you bring when you go to the library? Who do you work with? What is your current usage? What would you like the library to be? A big trend in Canada and around the world is learning commons. So sharing the space with different units, computer, multimedia labs, unified checkout desks, tutoring, teaching and learning centers for faculty, studios, language labs, etc., etc. and libraries now are more social. Is the third place, right? So, you know, the cafes and the galleries and the auditoriums and all that good stuff. So you need to assess those needs. You need to ask your users. You need to listen to what they tell you to be able to prepare your spaces, plan your spaces. You need then to manage also all these new partnerships that you're creating. You need to manage them. You need to maintain them. Not everybody will be happy all the time. There's never enough space. I mean, it's the case in my own Learning Commons. But yeah, you know, there's so much potential to create an awesome experience for the users. It's really worth it to work on those partnerships, those relationships, and help your staff. I'm talking as a library head, of course, is helping my staff also create those new partnerships and finding benefits to that. Services, I just put a few here. We know we do many, many more. And the idea is like you need to figure out what are the activities that you're doing or that you want to be doing. You need to think of what are the outcomes that I want to have. What is the impact that I want to have? What I want at least to assess at the end, because I want to fit into my institutional plan. Correct. So then also how I'm getting the data, I know what I want to assess. Well, how am I going to measure the impact after that? So typically, you would use, there are tools to help you. There are standards or references that you can use. For example, library instruction. In Canada, we use a lot the ACRL framework for information literacy for higher education. There are other tools or other standards that you can use as well, but that's a very popular one in academic libraries. So there was library instruction. Collections, there are tools again to analyze your collection. You know, to see what do you have? Do your collections fit well with the programs that your university offers? So you need to beef up part of your collection. Do you need to let go of things that are never being used? Are you in a consortium when there is no duplication of library acquisitions? Or are you in a system where there's needs to be one copy left because you share the resources among yourself, among your consortia? So Green Glass is one product that can help you figure that one out. For your impact on learning, there's other tools, the OATS from Georgia Tech. There's something called Weave Online. Your library management system, like Moodle, may have a model to help you do that. So the assessment of do you help faculty research? Something a lot of libraries do is metrics, scholarly communication metrics, but you have a repository, for example. How do you measure that in your help of faculty research? Then I put at the last item, customer service. I put quotes because I don't like to think of students as customers necessarily, but that's the concept that I wanted to share. So the importance of good, excellent customer service. You know, the first time that you interact with your user, and every time, because like I said earlier, your users, they can find stuff on the web, may not be the good stuff, but they can find information on the web, they can go elsewhere. So you want to have that good customer service to have that repeat contact with your users. And a repeat contact means a better chance of your positive outcome at the end. You can have better impact because your user had a good experience. A bad experience is worse than no experience at all, because people remember how you treated them, for example, or how helpful you were. and whatever for whatever you're assessing, right? A tool that's used a lot in libraries around the world to assess the quality of your service is LibQual, for example, but there are other tools. Finally, people. People are your strength of your library. It's also very hard to manage people. It's probably the hardest thing, but it's not impossible. There are, a few challenges in Canada. The recruitment and retention of qualified personnel is definitely a challenge. You want to find, of course, the best people for your position. Diversity, inclusion, and equity issues is also very important. I was talking earlier about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Canada that directly appeals to diversity, inclusion, and equity of Indigenous people. It gives them more opportunities, but also people of color, people in any kind of minorities, people with, for example, disability or different ethnic or racial background that need equity in opportunities. So that's something that's very upfront in Canadian libraries as well. And we have management of change. They are the key resources for management of change. And I've been through a few changes through my career. It's communication. Two-way communication. You need to explain, you need to say what is going on, you need to explain why of what's coming up, and you need to listen. And people who know what's happening are definitely more inclined to get on board and to go with the change. They may not always agree with the change, but at least they know what is going on. Professional development is also important. Somebody who feels who has the tools and who has the skills to take on any change of duties, change of library system, change of a building, will feel more at ease, will feel more trustful, will trust more the process. Encouraging creativity and risk-taking. It's also important. The most wonderful concept, I think, in management is the term pilot project. If you want to try something, you're not sure it's going to work, call it a pilot. We're trying a pilot. It gives you the chance to try things. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's okay. It was a pilot. We wanted to see if it worked. Again, knowing, that your boss trusts you to try something, and it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if it fails. It creates that trust again. And the breaking of silos. My last two institutions, they're not very big. So all the librarians are directly underneath me. There are no hierarchy. So there's strong governance, and there's a lot of talking. We talk a lot, and that's fine. And it takes longer, but it will have better chance of being successful at the end because we do talk a lot. And there's less micromanaging on my part, which is wonderful. I don't like to micromanage. And again, creates more trust. But even in small teams, they might be silos, the technical services and the public services, for example. If they don't talk a lot, sometimes they work against each other, as one group will create something that suddenly doesn't work for the other group and nobody knows exactly what is going on. Very important to break those silos. Doesn't mean that everybody has to know everybody else's jobs, but if everybody knows other people's projects and where they're working on and what they're aiming for, it ends up going better, I believe. Finally, I want to make sure of my time, going outward. So I was talking about breaking silos. Well, you need to break your library silos. You need to get out. You need to look up, and you need to look around you. So what are your university goals? What are the outcomes they're trying to create, to achieve? What is their strategic plan? The academic departments, the other programs, the other units on your campus, what are their outcomes? What are their goals? Do you deal with accreditation bodies? What's their goals and their outcomes that they want to achieve as well? And then you have to create your own goals and outcomes as well, and make them match, make them respond. How do you contribute? How does your library contribute to the institutional goals, its reputation and its prestige? And if you find those fit, that you're able to answer outcome A, we're doing ABC that fits that outcome, you will find that your library will be more successful than to get the resources you need or the projects that you want achieved. And that's part of advocacy. A big fan of advocacy as well. How do I make my library's value known, my value known as a librarian, as a professional? Libraries, we can ID, we can assess, we can link library goals and outcomes to all sorts of institutional outcomes related to, student enrollment, student recruitment, retention, graduation, student achievement, learning, engagement, faculty research, faculty recruitment, faculty teaching and service, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in conclusion, we look where we are, we assess what we are doing, we determine our outcomes, what are our goals, what do we want to achieve, we collect the data, we analyze it, we calculate our impact, and then we advocate for ourselves. Altogether, that helps us make a plan, and then we can integrate that plan for our budget, for strategic planning, and for human resources management. I got some readings. I got the Megan O'Cleave report I was telling you about. And then the Canadian Federation of Library Association, if you were interested in what that looks like and what libraries can do, I have the link there as well. And finally, my contact information, and I'm ready for your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ibu Catherine. So many things that we learned from Ibu Catherine, and if we look at it, what the presentation from Ibu Catherine, so there are things that we have, the challenge in the academic library. First is space, services, people, and of course, develop the library by setting the goals and how to proceed to achieve the goals. So, ladies and gentlemen, we arrived to the question and answering. We will have about 15 minutes. So, I will read one question to Ibu Catherine, and then after that, Catherine will answer it. Right now, if I see from the chat, there is one question from Ibu Labibah. So, Ibu Catherine, Ibu Labibah asks how the libraries in Canada cope with COVID in terms of management of change and also services.
Yes, almost it was a year ago today when we all learned, March 13, 2020, when universities in Quebec and most of Canada suddenly closed of course. The way I managed it is using a lot of communications with my staff. I was doing, library meetings from time to time, but starting pretty much the next week in March, a weekly meeting with my staff. And I would report any news that I had, any information from the university, from the government that I could gather. And I would let them ask all the questions and give me all the comments that they had. And my staff has told me they very much appreciated that. We were closed completely for several weeks. We then, by the time faculty then reoriented themselves, we moved all the instruction online, of course. And then for our part, it's like, well, what do we need to do to support still our users and our faculty with online services? So in some cases, we already had some kind of online reference desk. We beefed it up with new tools. We integrated video conferencing in our reference research assistance services. We set up a contactless pickup service so people could request items from our collections and we would go deliver them at the door without any contacts. Trying to manage, well, who will come and work in the library and when. Very limited hours, of course, at the beginning. Who needs to be in the library, who doesn't, who can work from home. Of course, who can come and get work and then go home, because not everybody necessarily can work from home. Trying to find new activities for new work that they can do from home, of course. We digitize archives. What they need more description, they need more processing. You can do that from home. That's one example. A lot of auto training. We were in the middle of implementing a new new library management system in the middle of this. So there was a lot of self-training from home, watching videos for my staff. And finally, we reopen to the users in the fall. We had to close again over the Christmas holidays, and then we reopened very limited capacity then in January, and now we're just starting to open up a little bit more. But then we had to manage what are the guidelines for the building, work with security, work with the administration. We have classrooms in our building, so who will be teaching in those classrooms, etc., etc. But I think it's very common with a lot of universities' experiences this past year. Yeah. But communications, talk to your staff.
All right, thank you. And there is a question from YouTube from Adil Via. So libraries today are paying great attention to the creation of electronic resources. So how do libraries manage efficiency analysis for electronic resources? So it's about digital collections of rare books, periodicals, and others. So how do libraries manage efficiency analysis for electronic resources? Okay, Bu Catherine?
Yes. Well, it depends how really you manage efficiencies. You can think of financial efficiencies, working a lot with consortiums with other libraries to have common licenses and bring your costs down. Like Canada, of course, we have to deal with the currency rates that are different, like many of you around the world. Otherwise, something with our new library management system that is wonderful. We are using all the libraries in the province of Quebec are now using WMS WorldShare from OCLC, and they have a module to manage your licenses. And that is a wonderful, wonderful tool to be able to track all the licenses that you're subscribing to, right? The journals and the ebooks and that sort of things. It's very important to keep track of your licensing, of the conditions, and then it's linked to the module for all the finances. It's important to assess your electronic resources, their usage. Let's see, or is there duplication of content? Necessarily not that much, but the usage is important. Is it something that you need to keep? Do you need it because the program needs accreditation and they need certain types of resources? Do you need to promote a certain resource? Do you need to show it more in your information literacy, etc., etc.? And then if you're talking about collections of digital items, there are various tools and portals that you can use to really organize that. In my library, we're a small library. We have nice archives, but we haven't done a whole lot of digitizing yet. And actually, I'm looking at products right now to help me manage all those digital objects that we're creating by digitizing our archives, certain items of our archives, and that will help with maintenance of the format and how do you describe and how do you put it online through a portal, for example. And it's important to do that from the beginning when you start digitizing, because if you wait too long, it can get very messy. So I'm hoping I answered your question.
Okay, this is a good question from Nelfritz Christopher. Do you have recommendation on standards or methods to assess the mentioned services?
Well, I mentioned a few tools. I mentioned the ACRL, the Framework for Information Literacy. I mentioned LibQual, which is a survey tool that is used around the world by university libraries. And that one is special. I mean, it's a user survey, so it's assessing what the perception of the user and what they perceive and what they would like to see. It's very interesting, and then you can compare yourself, right, between libraries. But there are other service assessment survey tools out there. And I know there's another one that I keep trying to find a name and I'm not finding it. But best practices, that's the name of the game. You try to find what other libraries have done, what your peers are doing, what your aspirational libraries are doing as well. And typically librarians are a very generous bunch, so you can ask, right? What have you been doing? What is your consortia doing if you're in a consortia? Maybe there are tools that are available as well, or standards.
Okay, this next question from Ibu Yulianti from Pajajaran University. So she asked your opinion about what is the ideal organizational structure for a college library based on your experience.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a very good question. Of course, it depends on the size of your libraries and then the number of the staff. They tend to be rather still hierarchical. Sometimes, if a library has several branches, each branch has its own little hierarchy, and then you get the overall. I prefer something that's more function-based than location-based. Somebody who would take care of collections or take care of access, take care of archives, but there definitely needs to be some sort of body where all these heads of units would be discussing with whomever is the university librarian or the dean of the libraries or whatever the name of that person is. Subcommittees that cross functions can be very useful as well, depending on what you're trying to achieve. The idea is, again, is to communicate and break those silos, and that people know at least what others are doing. But like I said, I'm in a small library. We don't have heads of units, and I have people who wear several hats. So for us, it's easier to achieve than maybe a larger library.
Okay. So next, from Muhammad Afan in YouTube. So he said, I would to ask how the commitment of your institution in developing the library, and then what kind of policies they implement to bring the library to the advanced level in providing library services. So it is the commitment and the implementation.
Yeah. Actually, I have the pleasure of working in an institution that does value the library very much. The library went through a complete remodel and renovation 2 years ago. A lot of effort, a lot of money, and it was a transformation from a traditional library, just a library, into a learning commons. And I think the institution is really showing that they're committed to help the library in that way and helping the students. It's now the little jewel of the campus. We get a lot of visitors. The campus is behind me, by the way. That's my campus. Small university. And could you please repeat the second part of the question, the implementation? So how does that show?
What kind of policies they implement to bring the library to the advanced level in providing library services?
I'm struggling a little bit with the question. I think my institution is very interested in having the library be part of the learning process for the students. For example, we have a 4-credit library instruction lab that is actually mandatory for many students to take. It is optional in some programs, and some programs it's mandatory. So we do see a whole lot of students coming through our doors taking that class. So that's something that is not necessarily common in all libraries, academic libraries in Canada or even in the US. So that the fact that the university supports that and puts that class, that lab in the calendar is part of the support. As university librarian, I do sit on various councils and committees at the university, academic officers, executive council, the Senate. So I can bring my point of view. I can bring, what we offer, and make sure, people know the point of view of my staff, of course, my personnel. And of course, we have wonderful funding from the administration and from the student government as well that support our collections and our services.
Okay. And next, from Ibu Mustikawati, she said that some of libraries struggle with only a few librarians. So do you have any suggestion how to manage the library regarding the works and services need to be done in the library?
Yes, indeed, especially with moving to this new paradigm. We come up with new activities to do, right? Some decades ago, helping faculty doing their research and creating institutional repositories that didn't exist, for example, or digitizing the digital humanities, for example. One thing that I've been able to achieve is using library science students, interns, creating internships, if I'm not able to hire a regular full-time librarian, so hiring sessional librarians to help for a specific amount of time for a specific project. I've had some success with that. And I wanted to say there are some libraries that create also fellowships for recent graduates, 1 year or 2 years fellowships. And that can be very interesting if you're able to get funding through fundraising from your administration to create those positions. They're not necessarily long-term, they're not permanent, but they can definitely help for specific projects or short-term.
Okay. And next question is from Minal Oak. So many of the corporate librarians are adopting certain edit role related to fringe areas for maintaining their sustainability, like working on the TQM policies of the CMP. So do you think there is a need for the academic librarians to adapt to some attitude in near future?
Possibly. I think if you think of how can the library help the institution reaching their goals, I can see librarians getting involved in something that's a little bit more outside the library, related to research particularly. I can see that knowledge management. I think that could be very interesting to get librarians involved in that. Yeah, maybe not. I think it does happen more in corporate libraries right now, but I can see, or you can have embedded academic librarians and labs in specific departments, specific activities like digital humanities I was mentioning earlier. So I wouldn't be surprised if I would develop more and more.
Okay, and last question from me. In stressing the shift of the library, we have librarians that are currently working in the library, and how then to improve their skills and their knowledge. For example, how to organize the continuing professional development for the librarians in shifting the academic library.
Well, you won't be surprised to learn that I'm a big fan of professional associations, just like the Special Libraries Association, of which I'm the president-elect. I think it's a wonderful environment to learn, to develop your skills, attend conferences and webinars, but also by being engaged in a professional association, you get to network with other librarians. You get to create, your little network of people you can call when you have questions. Something like SLA is great because you have different environments also, so you can inspire yourself from the corporate librarians, for example, or somebody in archives, or et cetera, and getting involved as well. I've been involved in SLA since I joined in 2000. It's been incredible for my career because I was able to, by being involved, learn skills that I was not able to learn on the job or as quickly on the job. So things as simple as running a meeting, or planning an event, or encouraging volunteers and working with volunteers, right? So that's been, I think I encourage my staff to be involved in professional associations because of that. And in general, to do professional development, attend conferences, attend webinars, try to figure out what they want, what do they want to achieve in their career, how can we get them there, how we can get them develop the skills that they need and they want. Yeah, we're lucky enough. We have, every librarian has a budget for professional development in my library. Not every library has that, so we're very fortunate, and I try to encourage people to really use the money. We have the money, use it.
And can you give us a suggestion that we have right now? We have many audience from academic libraries, school library, and public libraries. So, what your suggestion? For example, we want to involve in the professional organization, international professional organization. So is it difficult for us, for example, to join for the professional organization, Catherine?
I don't think so. I mean, SLA, of course, I think is the prime organization for librarians of all types of environment, from academic, from corporate, from legal, health, government, public libraries. They are school librarians and SLA as well. It's very easy. If you are, for example, from a country in Asia, the membership fee are actually reduced, and they're pretty affordable, I think. And in terms of SLA, there is many benefits offered to the users. Of course, I would encourage you to look at your country. Is there a library association in your country where you can meet your peers and your colleagues as well, or an association that's related to your work environment? Other possibility, but I do like SLA quite a bit.
Okay, I think this the end time of the question and answering. Thank you very much, Ibu Catherine. It is very beneficial for all of us having you in sharing your knowledge and your experience, and it is very useful for us, for our audience in Indonesia or in other countries. Thank you very much, and can we applause to Ibu Catherine, all of us? All right, thank you very much. And
thank you.
For me, as a moderator, thank you, and akhirul kalam, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and I give you to the MC. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting discussion. Okay, last but not least, we invite the President-elect of SLA Asia Community, Dr. Parveen Babbar, to deliver the vote of thanks. For Dr. Parveen Babbar, please, the time is yours.
Thank you, and very good morning and good evening to everybody. Thank you. It's given me the immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks for this third international talk on visiting librarians, which is organized by UN Sunan Kalijaga Library, Yogtakarta, Indonesia, and it is in support with the Special Libraries Association and the Asian chapter of it. And this has been also been supported from the Association of Islamic University Library of Indonesia, that is APPTIS. I would like to take this opportunity today to place on record our hearty thanks for the support and the guidance extended by Professor Dr. Phil Almakin MA, the director of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, and also to Miss Kushnil Koitima, who is the chair of the program and the team head of UIN Sunan Kalijaga Library. So we also thank both sir and madam for sparing their valuable time and supporting this program altogether. Our first gratitude is due to Dr. Catherine Lavallee-Welch from Canada, President-elect of SLA, for your kind presence, ma'am, and agreeing as a speaker for today's webinar and addressing the gathering. I'm sure that everybody has got benefited from your speech, and participants will be helped through this for implementing and managing their libraries. So thank you so much. And I also take the opportunity to extend our gratitude to Labibah Jain, who is the head of UN Sunan Kalijaga Library and the president of APPTIS also. So she was she has been at the background and she worked very hard for this talk. And our thanks is to Dr. PK Jain and Dr. Debalkar, and especially the moderator, Dr. Imas Maesaroh, lecturer of UIN Sunan Ampel, Surabaya, for all the support in organizing this international talk. So thank you so much. And we are also thankful to Dr. Nurdin Lagu, the head of the LIS department of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, and Dr. Johan E. Noor, the chair of Indonesian State University Library. We are also thankful to Ms. Ragil, the sign language interpreter from Center for Disability Service of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, who was all together in this program giving the sign languages. And especially we are thankful to all the colleagues of UIN Sunan Kalijaga and the team of APPTIS, who had wholeheartedly given the support and guidance for the organization of this talk. So thanks to them, and thank is also due to the team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues from the Kalijaga Library, Yogtakarta. So thank you to the team for helping us with organizing this talk. I would also like to thank for the support given by the SLA, the SLA Asian chapter, and who was the associate partners for this talk. And we are also thankful to the partners, the industry partners, especially the program was supported by the I Group, APSCO, and Taylor and Francis, who had given who has supported as for the logistics and the materialistic support. So thanks to them. Last not the least, I am thankful to all the international and national participants from all over the world who are here in this session. We thank them to be the part of this international talk, and we understand they have taken their time out, the very important time out of their schedules to be the part of this talk over here for today. Thank you all for your invaluable contribution, and we are looking forward to see you back soon in the next talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Parveen Babbar. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, finally, we come to the end of our meeting. Before we end of our meeting, we would like to say thank you for the moderator, Imas Maesaroh, and the speaker, Mrs. Catherine, for the informative and interesting talk. And to all the participants, thank for the active participation. Hopefully, this meeting will be beneficial for us. Okay, I want to remind for all the participants that please remember to fill the attendance form to get electronic certificate. Okay, before we end this program, let's take some picture. So please, for all the participants, to turn on your camera. Okay. I want to check first. Slide 1 ready. Slide 2. Slide 3. Okay. Yeah. Okay, please. For all the participants, to turn on your camera. Okay, and I want to capture. The first is slide 1. I want to count. Okay, slide 1. Are you ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Say cheese. And then slide 2. Slide 2. Are you ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Say hello. Okay. Slide 3. Slide 3. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Say hey. And the last, slide 4. 3, 2, 1. Say cheese. Okay, I think enough. Okay, thank you very much for joining us today. Have a nice day and see you in the next session. Thank you very much all the participation. Okay, thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much for everybody who is joined both in on Zoom or on YouTube. Thank you so much for everybody. I hope you guys can join us for the next month. It is about medical librarians with Miss Nalini from US. Okay, thank you so much. Please, everybody, make sure that you already fill in the forms and put the code so everybody will get the certificate. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Yang apa namanya?